Welcome back to Vizaural Music, the music podcast where we talk about tracks that we found on Bandcamp, on SoundCloud, and were sent in by listeners just like you. It's another two-person episode because Angel is working this morning. So my name is Ryan.
He's officially canceled. Cancel culture got to Hungary.
Finally.
I know, it's about damn time.
And we'll see. I think both of us will probably be canceled by the end of this. So again, my name is Ryan, and I'm here with Craig.
Hello, how's it going, Ryan? Can I have some milk and watch cartoons too?
You absolutely can. So all you listeners out there missed my daughter barging in right now, and basically she had that look on her face like, you better get to giving me the things I want, like cartoons and milk. But I, of course, shooed her away and did not give her what she wanted because that's the kind of father I am.
Yeah, because I've got two questions.
Mm-hmm.
One, where's the fife? Two, give me the fife.
Yep, that was a classic line there. So, Greg, we're not going to talk about the weather. Last episode, we talked a lot about Fugazi, but I'm thinking because it is the fall, I want you to think back to 2003 when you were in Santa Cruz. You had just arrived because you were going to become a doctor, and you met probably the coolest person you've ever met in your entire life.
John Jacobs.
Oh, well, he is pretty cool. But I meant me. So this is like the time where we realized, man, we like a lot of music. We're going to go to a bunch of shows. Do you remember in this time, there was I actually don't know if it was in the fall. It might have been the winter. So this bit might not work, but I'm still go with it. Do you remember we went to a house show to see perhaps the greatest live rock band of all time, Comets on Fire?
Yeah, at the Cube.
Yep, the Cube. Yeah, I couldn't remember that name of that house.
So clearly, I remember it way better than you.
I had a number of beers that night, so that, and also the amount of sound that was hitting us. I'm sure I've damaged my ears significantly that night.
Yeah. Well, and then you went and beat up that cokehead.
Yeah, we did do that. All right, I mean, I did that, but
it was a group effort. I just stayed and listened to the music.
Yeah,
and then a bunch of people took out a cokehead who was punching a lot of people and self-policed. Yeah, we self-policed the crowd just like Fugazi would have enjoyed.
It's like there's synergy between our two episodes here. So I'm gonna be.
Yeah, I just remember. I remember being so hot in there, and the lead. I think it was either the guitarist or the lead singer literally had a pitcher of water that he was just drinking straight from the pitcher.
Yeah, we'll save those comments because I'm going to retell that night as I remember it throughout this episode. And if you don't know who Comets on Fire is, you should just go onto Spotify or whatever. Go listen to those last two records that they put up on Sub Pop. It is just an incredible psychedelic band that I still think it stands the test of time. And I'm not sure why they don't do some kind of reunion tour at this point, but maybe there's just too many of them and they're all old.
Yeah, what happens.
Well, let's go ahead and get to our first track here. This is one from a band called Origami, Repetika, with their song Winged Creatures. So this is a submission as well, and they actually were kind enough to send a CD along. And I really like this. I like the whole record. It's a very kind of orchestral, lo-fi pop music. It seems like it would fit with a lot of Elephant Six type of stuff. I'm sure he's heard some of that in the past, but it even has kind of a Brian Wilson tinge to it because some of the instrumentation is kind of odd and not straightforward. It's not always in seems like a 4/4 timing, which I think is very interesting. And that's something I've always appreciated about Brian Wilson is that his songs are the pop songs from the Beach Boys and Wilson. They're drilled into your memory. You can hear them at any moment. You turn on a classic rock station, but the instrumentation on them is really complex and hard to do, which is why you don't hear a lot of people covering some of those, Wouldn't It Be Nice and tracks like that. So what did you think of this song, Craig?
Well, first, I've got a joke to tell. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
CDs.
CDs? Who?
CDs nuts. Hey.
Oh, you are canceled for sure. Sorry. That is definitely
Oh
canceled.
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm still every time I hear CDs, that's the only thing that I can think of because I have a PhD. I am almost 40. I have a small child, and I am very mature.
Oh my god. And
anyway,
it's not even a funny joke, but god dang it.
You laughed though.
I did because I was like, "Wow, it's one of those, it's so bad. I wouldn't say it's so bad. It's good. It was so bad."
No, it's just bad. This track after the final song in last episode, the opening of this kind of reminded me of that. So I was getting kind of hunkered down for a little bit of ambient stuff, but then, 10 seconds in, a lot of other shit started happening, and then some dude started singing, and then there's a saxophone.
Yep.
And man, like you were saying, there's so many disparate things that all just come together and make a really nice little track. And it's fun to listen to stuff like this where you can tell that there's a definite direction and they were adding things purposefully. And at some point they had to say, do we add another?
Yeah.
And tracks like this, it's always where do we stop? Yeah. It's a fine line because there are times where it's tracks like this that just is too much, and I think they got a little close to it at times. But no, I really 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 liked it, and it's funny too that you're talking about the Beach Boys because I was gonna put a cover song of a Beach Boys track on here, but I didn't know who the actual artist was that performed it.
How was that?
It was from this record.
How would you get that?
It was from a record. Well, it's from a record label, a vegan record label.
Oh, of course.
And it was this. It was a really cool album. It was mostly covers and a couple of originals, and the originals were good too. And a lot of the covers were bands that I actually never heard of, but that were cool. But the record label just put its name as the by part, and then it had the name of the album, and I was trying to dig around to figure out who it was, and I couldn't figure it out, so I just I'll leave it off. But anyway, they were good Beach Boy covers, so
yeah. And I mean, this is
that's all I got.
Yep. I mean, this is really competent stuff. I like it. I like the whole record. I think it's really good. That night where we were at the Cube, and if you have to kind of go back in time here, people. It's just 2003. The internet's around.
2002. It was 2002.
Was it 2002?
It was the.
Oh
yeah,
right.
because I graduated. I moved there in 2002, and it was within a month we went to that show, and I'm like, oh my god, there's music like this all the time in Santa Cruz, and that was the best show in the time that I was at Santa. Well, no, we saw some other good things there,
no,
but
that was
not
the best.
house shows wise. That was the best house show.
That was a transformative moment for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd already been to houses, so I was already cued into oh, this is really cool. You can, put on shows at your own home and allow people to perform and do some interesting things. I was already cued into that, but just I think it was the first time I realized, actual really good bands also do this, and they show up at these kinds of things. It's not just you and your friends slamming together some tunes. It's this is a real freaking awesome band, one of the best in the world, I would say, and here they are playing in this house.
Yeah, because I remember talking to. I'm just gonna ignore you wanting to tell a story, but I remember talking to. Was it Ben Chasney?
Yep.
One of his bands was played in San Diego when I lived there 5-6 years ago or whatever. And I talked to him after the show, and I'm like, oh man, I remember seeing you in Santa Cruz with Comets on Fire. And he's like, I think that might have been my first show with that band with them. And I was like, holy! He's like, that was your first show with them? That's insane.
Yeah. Well, he's a great guitar player, so.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Tell your story.
And that's it. I mean, I'm trying to remember different elements of that night that I can throw around this episode, but I just remember that, going to that show, and they had bigger crowds at the Cube. The Cube was, I would say, kind of the elite house in the scene at that time. It was kind of these are the people who are really guiding the Santa Cruz underground music scene. So it had that kind of it had that reputation. But the fact that there wasn't that many people at this Comets on Fire show also kind of blew my mind. And they played for so long. I mean, they must have played for an hour and a half or something, which was a long time in a house show. Usually you get like a 30-minute set and then you're done, so someone else can play.
Yeah, they played for a long time, and there's maybe 20 people there at the most.
Yeah, I remember also just the sweat on the walls because, you have to close all the windows, of course, so you're not going to drive your neighbors insane, and you're all in this tiny little room, and it's just like it's wet, it's dripping from the walls. It's really gross, but it was a great
and plus they had so many amps and other electronics on there just pumping out like heat too. It was crazy.
Who would have lived around that house? I mean, I can imagine if tomorrow my neighbor started to throw a bunch of shows, I would be complaining all the time. So I can only imagine that the people there were either doing illegal things and were like, I'm not going to ever call the police because I don't want to bring any attention around here, and they just kind of put up with it, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, shortly after that, the hippie city of Santa Cruz, filled with aging boomers, decided to kind of clamp down on the house music scene, which really sucked. And that was, almost 20 years ago. So boomers 20 years ago still sucked.
Yeah.
And they only suck worse now.
And like I said, I could understand it now that I'm a bit older, and like if I'm putting my kids to bed and there's a bunch of kids next door blasting out psychedelic jams like at these at the top wattage, that I might.
Yeah, I mean, at about 150 decibels.
I mean, I've never called the police for any reason. I definitely wouldn't call the police on like my neighbors and things like that. Even, I mean, unless it was like, some serious crime happening or whatever, but I'm not going to call them because they're annoying me to some degree. But I probably would go and say, guys, you can't be doing this right now. Like, you got to turn that shit off. So I'm an old man is what I'm saying. God dang it. Let's go to the next song.
Yeah.
The next
I would have been
here.
like, hey man, where was my invite? Here's $5 for the show. No, I wouldn't have done that.
No. Well, let's get to our next song. This is from a Swedish band called Big Byrd with their song Snö-Golem. How I found this, but my notes are so dumb. It says jammy fun, so much fun. So that's what I put down, and I think that perfectly captures exactly how this band sounds. And it's just, if we talk about Comets on Fire, a psychedelic band that's much more like, noodly jammy stuff with they have an ecoplex which makes everything all wobbly and goofy. Like it's a harder end of the psychedelic kind of music scene, and this is much more the kind of stuff I imagine you'd go to some kind of music festival and they'd be playing this and people be just dancing around having a good time, maybe enjoying some substances of some type. So what'd you think of this, Craig?
Oh yeah, no, I liked it. Like you said, it just locks in on a groove and it just goes. Like, it's not too far out there. They've got like those little arpeggiator running through there. Yeah, it's nice. It's one of those albums in a band that you can kind of just put on, and like suddenly you just realize that, it's like 2 or 3 hours later, and I'm still just kind of listening to the same thing. Like, it doesn't get old. It doesn't really challenge you like you're saying like some other psych bands does, but it just makes you it's perfect music for zoning out, to do pretty much anything, whether or not it's writing something on the computer, playing with a child, like doing yard work or any type of hobby or whatever. Like, it's just great. I really enjoyed it. So I'm just gonna say I'm glad that I found it.
Oh, did you find it?
No, not at all. But the fact that I can trick you into thinking that always makes me laugh.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Let's get to the next track here, because I'm sure my kids are gonna start wanting to barge in here. So I'm gonna pick up the pace. This is a song from the UK by a band called Swervedriver with their cover of Reflections.
Happiness you took from me and left me alone with all the memories through the mirror of my mind, through the tears that I'm crying, reflects a hurt I can't control.
notes. I just was so tickled when I found it that I thought, oh, it's like a shoegaze band that's covering the Supremes, and I love the Supremes. So it's not as great as the Supremes track, but I mean that's a pretty high bar to reach. But I thought it was kind of interesting for, again, a very different type of musical act to bring that kind of Motown sound to the forefront. So, Craig, you must have liked this, right?
Well, yeah, do you not know who Swervedriver is?
Mm-mm.
You don't?
No.
That's hilarious. They're like a huge influential shoegaze band from back in the day. And they went away for a while, and then they came back like in the mid-2000s for like a reunion tour, and then they just continued recording, and my wife's old band opened up for them.
Really?
On one of their legs of their reunion tour, yeah. So I'm like, why is he putting this on here? It's like, and then I'm like, he probably has no idea who they are.
There you go. Wow.
Yeah,
and that
so
goes back
that's
to the
kind of
theme
funny.
of
I
this
wanted
episode of, like little bands going out and doing their thing. Your wife's band was, opening for, I guess, a bigger band. I mean, I don't know. They must be kind of big.
they were, yeah. Swervedriver was, like I said, they were pretty damn influential back in the day. It's really good stuff. Like, I would, since you like shoegaze and stuff, I would listen to their early stuff. It's nice.
Okay, maybe I have, and I just have no memory of it.
That was really funny. And like every time I listened to this a couple of times. I liked the track, and I liked the original and everything. And I couldn't remember, wasn't there like a TV show that used Reflections as like the theme song, like some,
I have no idea.
some like military. It's gonna bother me. I'm not even gonna look it up because like who gives a shit. But I could have swore that there was some stupid like army drama that used it, and yeah.
Good story.
Anyway, yeah, it's hilarious that you had no idea who Swervedriver was, and you're like, oh, this little this little up and coming shoegaze band that did a fun cover of Reflections. Like, I like this. Like,
there you go.
I think they might go somewhere.
All right. Well, I can say for sure our next track is definitely an up and comer, and I'm pretty sure your wife's band did not open for them. This is a submission that we received from a band called the Holy Contours with their song Dino's Song.
It's alright, baby. I'm in love with you. And it's alright now. I will never make you blue. I try to play with you. I don't ever wanna make you sorry, babe. For anything you might have said or done. Oh no. All I ever wanted to do is love you. And maybe hope you could love me too.
I like this song and I like this band because I don't know if this is serious or not. Because when you go to their Bandcamp page, all the pictures they have for their records or their at least songs are kind of like pinup girls, the kind of stuff that you would imagine that this is just like a scam, or like the music is not actually what they're selling. But you'll see that sometimes on Bandcamp, or it's but I didn't know if this was done entirely seriously or if this is kind of just a bunch of really sloppy songs that someone recorded and then messed up, like maybe messed up the speed of the track, because it actually sounds a little different to me. Like it doesn't quite sound like it's the exact speed that it was recorded. I don't know why I think that, but what do you think of this, Greg?
No, I think that Reflections was in China Beach. I did actually end up Googling it because it was bothering me, and it was like it was basically a modern day MASH, only set in a Vietnam hospital instead of Korea War.
Boring.
Anyway, this track, I love this. On Spotify, we anchor a lot of radio stations from bands that kind of sound like this, that just give you a blend and range of different 60s psychedelia while playing around with their small child. And like this type, so this was a little more sugary poppy version of it, and then you get some like the heavier stuff with like the OCs and bands of that ilk. But I loved it, and like I said, I'm still waiting for a bad submission. And then the cover art, that really threw me for a loop. I'm like, what the hell is this gonna be? Like was expecting like some Blink 182 thing for some reason.
Yeah, I really
then-
don't know
yeah.
as well. It's odd choice of cover, but it really feels like it's from another world to me. Or maybe when I was mentioning before, it sounds like it's the speed is not right. It almost sounds like if there was some algorithm that just shot out like, okay, how do you make a psych pop song? Like it would kind of make this because, and and the algorithm of course is not human, so it doesn't understand the actual touches that you need to have in this kind of music, or like the kind of thing you would put out as a cover. It's like, oh, the algorithm says that people like pictures of girl with tattoo. Girl with tattoo is cover, and it has to have this kind of flourishment. So it has that kind of feeling to me, that it's almost so clinical that it's out of this world. Or it seems kind of like The Room, that movie where you watch that and you're like, this is like a movie made by someone who's heard about movies but has never seen a movie, and that's what this is to me.
It's like all those that Twitter meme thing where it's like, we fed 1,000 episodes of whatever into this AI, and now the AI wrote an episode of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, clearly they didn't do that, and it's just somebody writing purposely slightly obtuse lines
Right.
to make it sound like that. But yeah, I get what you're saying with that. It's kind of like those deep dream whatever images that you can do on Google or whatever. You put a picture in and then like it makes it all weird with like animal faces and stuff. But yeah, it's and you don't really notice how creepy and gross it is until you like really get in there and look.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I really like this track. And again, if you're out there and you're in a shitty band, send us a song because I want to make fun of it.
Yeah, because we've had only good submissions so far, so well done, Holy Contours. Let's get to our next song here. It says they're from London/Berlin, a band called Zerum with their song 0110. Yeah, Craig must have picked this because I don't like this. In fact, it harshed my buzz. I was like, I'm having some good coffee here, and I've been going to a lot of metal shows, so sure, I'm totally fine with very loud, in-your-face stuff. But I don't know, when this came up, it's just not what I wanted this morning. I'm drinking my pumpkin coffee. It's the fall. I'm chilling, and I'm like, this is too aggressive. It's too much punching in my face. So, is this a vegan band? Is that why they're on here?
I think that they might have been on that record label, yeah.
All right.
But the only reason that they really made this is because of the Karl Marx reference in the beginning. And then talking about how, well, no, not even communists. I don't even believe in any form of government. I like that. It's a good method. Good message for the children out there.
Okay.
But I really actually enjoyed the musicianship of this. I will say, the guttural vocals, they hit a couple of times, and that that harshed my buzz a little bit. But I like the other singing when they're actually doing more singing or more of the almost the talk stuff over it. I really liked it. I thought it was a fun track.
Fun? Okay.
And it's well, all right, maybe not fun. I thought it was a nice, heavy, intense track.
Okay.
And it's also nice to know that. Clearly, this wasn't in English, but I knew that the vocals weren't fascist.
Why? It can be
I
vegan
can guarantee
fascist.
that.
What if they're...
Well, no, this was.
I mean, other than
they
the
were
Marx
tagged.
stuff.
This was tagged specifically as
Oh, I
anti-fascist.
see. All right. Well, very good. At least they have that going for them.
And also, if you're listening to this from Wroclaw, they are touring and will be there soon.
They better start paying us. I swear. I mean, we were probably bringing in so much tourism to Wroclaw at this point. All 30 of our listeners are just going to be like, I'm definitely going to be there. Does your wife like this kind of music? Because, my wife likes maybe 10% of the music that I listen to, and definitely not this kind of music. Is this something you could put on, your wife would be like, oh, cool? Or she's like, turn this shit off.
She would be like, turn this shit off.
Okay. But she was a musician. She played in indie bands, so she might be a little more inclined to be like, I can tolerate some harsher sounds.
Well, and it's and being in a shoegaze band with a lot of loud stuff, but it's more droning on and stuff. And she was in like more like a post-hardcore thing, like towards the end of our time in San Diego. That I wasn't. It's never really reached the metal side of things. So she really doesn't like this type of stuff. Like maybe Propaganda is about as heavy as she'll get. She was really into the hardcore scene though when she was younger, and that's actually what like kind of put her onto the vegetarian vegan scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was like she's like, I like that. I like the straight edge side about being nice to animals, but I will continue to drink and have caffeine, but I will be nice to animals.
Wait, they don't drink caffeine?
Straight edge people? Yeah, I mean most.
What a stupid
I'm pretty sure,
movement.
like I think if you're true straight edge, it's like you don't no drugs. Caffeine's a stimulant, man. It's a pretty major drug.
I feel like it also was about not having any sex, which I think is also like, wow, what a movement. Like, let's have no fun at all. There's no alcohol. There's no coffee. And I mean, and I counted myself within the, I didn't follow all those precepts, but I was, vegetarian, vegan for when I was young, and I followed the politics of it.
You are an incel straight edge.
Well, I mean, it seems like, did anyone ever follow that precept? That seems like, I mean, not
the no sex thing.
Not by choice, at least.
No, I think there were. It had to be. I mean, it's a pretty major thing, I guess. I don't know. I never really. I always thought it was just. I don't know. But yeah, she was definitely into the hardcore scene, but never really metal. So like, she can handle the hardcore thing. When the hardcore bands get into more metal-y stuff, I don't think she's a huge fan of it.
Okay.
So no, she probably would not have liked this track at all.
All right. Well, would she have liked Comets on Fire?
But you know who? She would. She's not huge into the loud psychedelic stuff either. But she likes the more mellower stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
She would probably dig some of this stuff. I don't know if she would have been. Well, actually, that concert she probably would have liked a lot because they were very, very talented.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could go to that show and would have walked away being like, "Wow, now that's a band." Like that's gonna. It should have been huge. I don't know why they weren't. I mean, they were on Sub Pop.
Well, they got on Sub. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. So, like, I would say, like, Acid Mother's Temple, she would not go to.
Okay.
Like, the time that I went to Boston to see them, she was like, "Ha, no."
Oh. All right, fair enough. Well, maybe she'll like this next band because I think this is a really good track. This is a French act. Oh gosh, how am I going to pronounce this? Palais des Iol with their song Les Ormes.
All the joy and all sad, we made through the darkest skies as we were together now. But you never hear that wonder lights from the sun through the clouds in the twilight of the day, like a forest full of elms. Open the gates of the realm.
Did I nail that name?
I have no idea.
Okay, good.
Yeah, nailed it.
Good. I really like this. This was one
You nailed it like a straight edge kid in high school.
Oh yeah. Craig found this one, but I really like this because it's kind of I really like the Canterbury scene. That was a scene in British music that was kind of pre-prog. It was at the time, in the 60s when bands were like, we got to go to the countryside. We have to get in touch with our roots. And there was like a lot of kind of psychedelic, folkish music that was rock inspired that comes out of that era. And this seems like it fits perfectly into that scene. And, I live in Sonoma County, and so there's definitely that vibe around parts of Sonoma, like this idea that you go into the country and, experiment with the world and get crystals and stuff like that. Stuff that would totally work with this song. So, I mean, how did you come across this, Craig? Is this another vegan thing?
No, so like you said, it is very twee. And after listening to a lot of vegan hardcore and metal bands, because if you're vegan, you're either going to be in a hardcore band, like a metal band, or like a sappy folk thing.
Why is that? What is it about vegans and those two things? Like
I
they just don't
like,
get into
I would
like
imagine,
old type of country music or anything like that.
I guess maybe next time I'll type in vegan country and give that a whirl.
How would that? I mean,
no, I don't.
why would you? I mean, no offense to vegans, but why does that have to be part of the musical style? But I guess, as we've seen,
like hardcore.
or I mean, I'm just saying, like, what? I mean, I can't imagine I'd tag any of my music based on those types of things. But then again, we get all kinds of incredible tags on Bandcamp, so maybe it's not actually that abnormal to just put vegan in it. Because I mean, a lot of the songs you had played, I don't know if there's any overtly vegan thing about it, other than they're just like, oh yeah, we are vegans and we make the song.
Yeah, well, I mean, that one thing that vegans do is they do like to support one another. So there's that. There's not a lot of
I
us,
just thought vegans
so.
always like to share that they're vegans. They're kind of like people like
no, in more cases,
like people who just like converted to Christianity and like they can't stop like sending you like Bible verse messages and like, all right, I get it, I got it. I always thought vegans were like kind of the same thing for a different crowd.
well, I mean, those newly, born again Christian folks are sending you that stuff because they're trying to bring about the end of the world.
Sweet. Well,
vegans
they got
are
it.
trying to
They're
do
doing
the
it.
They're trying to do vegans are trying to do the exact opposite and save the planet.
Oh,
so.
right.
Who's better than who? What's better? Who's to say?
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. So I needed something like this after listening to a lot of really good hardcore and metal and psych stuff, and a lot of really bad stuff as well.
I imagine so.
So yeah, sometimes you just need, like you said, a song about forest elves and dancing around.
And I love it. I liked it.
Yeah, it's very very early Genesis to it. The rest of the album actually is a little more subdued than this, so like, which is funny to say because this was not what I would call a rollick. Well, I would say it's rollicking, but it's not rocking.
Sure.
But yeah, I really love the guy's voice. He's got a great voice for singing this style of music, and yeah, it was a nice palate cleanser for me for subjugating myself purposefully to loud, angry music for quite some time.
And bringing it back to our Comets on Fire show, the Cube, some of the people who lived there, they played in some kind of bands like this. If you remember that band Wisp,
oh yeah,
they put out some records, I think, on the Mount Erie guys record label. They were kind of big for a moment there, but it was at that moment in kind of the indie scene where everything got a little bit freaky with the folk stuff, like what's that one guy, Devendra Barnhart?
Devendra Banhart.
Yeah, I mean, he then got really popular that time. So, and they were from that house too, and I think they might have opened even some shows with Comets on Fire. I mean, Six Organs of Admittance, Ben Chesney's other band. He was a guitar player. I mean, super, psychedelic, folky kind of stuff.
Yes, acoustic psychedelic stuff, which was all the rage at that time.
I still love. I mean, I love Six Organs of Admittance, but he's obviously the high end of that style of music.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps if you're like
Awesome.
extremely good at playing guitar.
Yeah, it's amazing
as
how
opposed
that
to
can
some of the
make
people
a
that
band
would
so
play
much better.
Yeah. Yes, and being confident in your instruments, I mean, it makes good music.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. Well, let's get to one last track here on this very veganish episode. I was gonna say issue. I don't know what form I feel this show is taking, but this is a band called Mommy's Little Boy with "Fuck the NRA."
Tell me where has the love gone? Yeah, you said that yesterday. You prayed for me, it was only for yourself. Need a new face today. Put your face on black.
So I don't know if there's a political message in this song at all. I can't tell based on the title of it. But I did
Or the
see
vocals, or the lyrics at all.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell if they have a message they're
Who's to
trying to
say?
share with people. But this is the first track I noticed that you had just typed in vegan, and I saw at the bottom, and I did roll my eyes a little bit, but then I realized, okay, well, we pull up tags all the time of much more ridiculous things, so it was not out of the question. But this is a fine song. It was very like 90s.
Wait,
like,
this one, honestly, this one was tagged vegan?
yeah.
Oh my, okay, that's.
I
that's
started to worry
hilariously
now
ironic.
that like maybe you only listen to vegan bands, like that you're like, putting yourself into this little box where it's like that tag is. Do other scenes do this, like metal, like where they're like, I only now listen to thrash metal. No other metal is acceptable to me. Is it now like it has to have vegan tag for it to be Craig worthy?
No, I will be 100% serious with you. The first, so I put 6 tracks in this, like this episode and the one before. 4 of them were from typing in vegan. The last track and this one were from the experimental pop section. So the fact that these guys actually, because it's a split EP, but the fact that this is actually tagged vegan is hilarious because that's unintentional and coincidental.
All right, fair enough. I don't believe it, but I'll for the sake of this conversation, I'll agree. So what?
Well, no, like I said, like almost everything that you listen to that's tagged vegan is like hardcore shit, and this is the exact opposite of hardcore.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's experimental pop.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I really liked
It
it.
was nice. It was very much like
The rest
jangly kind of
Yeah.
indie rock song. Like if this band was touring in '93 and had a record release on Matador, I'd be like, okay, I could see it.
Yeah, like all of this guy's tracks on the little split album are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly he has a message, one that I agree with and most of the country agrees with, which is good. It's important. Everyone should be saying, fuck the NRA about everything.
I also
whenever they can.
Once I start talking to boomers, I on Facebook via my local newspaper, I have now seen ads that the NRA does just, I guess, online. Maybe they have them on Fox News or some conservative TV station, but they are insane. Like the messaging from those ads is so apocalyptic that I'm like, oh my god, of course this is gonna rile people up and make them crazy. Like I'm very much in I'm not like a take the guns away from people kind of person. I generally do think people should have the right to arm themselves, but the NRA definitely is ramping that language up like to a 10 for sure. When I asked, how can this cover be any more black? The answer is none more black.
Yeah. How much more fascist can an organization be? The answer is sadly more fascist.
Oh, they can get
and
much
they're doing
worse.
it every day. And I don't like the thing that I don't get about these gun fuckers. Like they literally fuck their guns.
Well, yeah.
I don't.
You might ask, where do you fuck it?
But
and I'll show you.
Yeah, in there. Anyway. But it's so weird because it's like, no, we've got the government gave us this right to have these military grade weapons, and we're gonna do whatever we can. We got to protect our country and protect ourselves. And then it's like, and also we need these guns to somehow attack our own government in case they overstep the bounds. But it's like, what are you talking about? Like you love your government so much that you're going to defend it from other people, but at the same time you need the guns to destroy the government in case that happens.
I mean, that makes sense to me. It's like they have an idealized version of what America is that never really existed, but
white.
Yeah, so their idea is like, I need those guns to return it to that state or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So
to me.
if another black man gets elected president, they will riot. Basically, here is what I think. So if they do pass like a background check, what they need to do is get all your social media and just search if you've ever posted. They will never take my guns. You should not be allowed to own a gun.
Yeah. Any time where it's like, if you cannot ever make any change to this, or I'm threatening public violence, I'm like, yeah, you probably shouldn't ever have it to begin with then.
Yeah, let's see what happens if the government that I love so much tries to come and takes my guns legally after they pass a law that everyone supports. Yep. Yeah. It's like, well, maybe you should not own any weapons of any kind because clearly you are not well.
Yes. And when I'm not
And by not well, I mean very racist.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it was actually speaking of cancel culture, I did see Dave Chappelle's recent stand-up, and I'm not a comedy guy, so it's hard for me to gauge, like, is this good or it's bad? Like, I mean, if I laugh a few times, I guess it's good. So I didn't, when it got really bad reviews, I don't know if angry YouTube people are right and that it was just because of some of his political stances, or it really wasn't that funny. I don't know. But he had a really funny joke, which is, he says, in this election, it's really important. So, black folks, we got to go out and register to buy a gun, because like that's the only way they're ever going to have gun control in this country. And I was like, oh, that's pretty true.
Yeah. I just there's some other I haven't watched it because like the last stuff that he put out I was kind of meh on. And it's like I don't need to.
Fair enough.
I don't need to watch stuff that I know that I might not enjoy because there's too much shit, and there's so many people that just watch stuff that they purposely know that they're gonna hate, and it's like, why do that to yourselves?
Yeah.
Come on, like, we live in a world where you can pick and choose whatever the fuck you want to watch and listen to, and never have to listen to or watch anything that you deem even okay.
That's right.
But like, there's people that like will watch stuff week in and week out that all they do is like, oh, this was stupid again, that was dumb. Like, just don't watch it, man.
I know.
Don't.
I believe that. I mean, also,
I'm
so old now where I watch plenty of things, but I don't consume media the same way I used to. Like, I don't watch any show now. I can't keep up with a show. I now I'm actually really into movies, because like we could put it on, we could stop it and, come back to it, and it's like 90 minutes, great. And now, but I can't get that invested in a lot of these fights people are having about these media pieces, because I'm just so uninterested in watching or reading any of them. Or I'm like, I can't do the bare amount of work to even get involved in this conversation.
Yeah, like what was that? There's the I've forgotten the name of the show that I really liked. It was like a newer like superhero type of show that was kind of weird and psychedelic.
The Boys?
But I really liked the first. Yes, The Voice.
No, The Boys.
No, I haven't watched that yet. It came out a couple years ago.
The Voice.
And it like I was like, oh, I'll just wait until the season 2 is done completely and just download everything. And now they're like on season 4 or something like that. I'm like, oh well, I'm probably not going to catch up on that.
Man.
Even though I really liked it, but it's like I just don't have time to, like, a lot of those prestige shows. Like, I'm never going to watch Westworld.
Oh yeah. So many of them. I'm like, that looks great. I'm sure they like have great talent. Everyone is good in it, but I'm like, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, and then we have like a Netflix account, and every time we open up Netflix, there's like 800,000 new things to watch, and you're like, which one do you want to watch?
Yeah.
And like, I'll just turn this off.
Yeah.
I'll just give you another $13 this month and not use your product.
Well, speak of ending things, because people are interrupting me. My daughter's
Quiet.
That's quiet. Thank you. Yeah. Well, Craig, let's get to our best.
I mean, I just heard your daughter, so I don't think that's quiet. I don't think she's being quiet.
Well,
tell her that she doesn't know what quiet
I know. I'm
means.
going to go show her what's up. Let's go to our best in show here. I'm going to pick first. I'm going to give it to our submission from Origami, Repetika. I think that was just a great song. I got the whole CD. It's all good. That's my best in show. How about you?
Nice. I'm going to go with Mommy's Little Boy, partly because I just found out that it was tagged vegan, and fuck the NRA.
All right. Fair enough. So
Hopefully your daughter didn't hear that.
No,
but
she did not.
She should hear that.
I mean, she's heard worse in this house.
Little girl, fuck the NRA. Yeah,
Okay.
well, yeah. You listen to Alex Jones,
That's
so
true.
yes, she has. Yeah.
Yeah. We are missing one. On that note, if you want to send us your music, send it to vizaural.music.blog. Follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. And until next time, my name's Ryan.
Peace.